Hey, SEC stuff. I'm Emma here with Chizzy, and today we are breaking down a game that is college game day this week. Not a game that I would ever have expected to be college game day, but Vanderbilt is going to Tuscaloosa. Obviously, the reason this is game day is because Vanderbilt upset Bama last year. They were the number one team in the country, just beat Georgia under the new Kalen DeBoer era, and then they walked into Vanderbilt and lost. So there's a reason for it. I still think Miami, Florida State should have gotten it, but here we are. I'm excited for this game. It's going to be really interesting because I still think Vanderbilt is a very good team. I think they're actually better than last year. Obviously, their head coach has just been sensational. Clark Lee has turned this program into something meaningful in the SEC in the context of football. So I'm hoping for a really good game here. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I just think it's going to be so interesting to see the game again that shocked college football last year, like you were saying. I'm very excited just to see how Vandy is able to compete with this Bama team. I was very much so shocked. I won't lie. When I saw Bama last Saturday versus Georgia, the offense just looked so fun. I don't know how to explain it, but it just looks so fun. They look like they have like their core pieces are back, number one, but two, it just looked like they were like the Bama that we all know. I'm interested to see if Vandy is able to keep Bama how they were last time they matched up. The time of possession for Vandy was 42 minutes and 8 seconds compared to Bama's time of possession was 17 minutes and 52 seconds. So I think if Bama's able to keep that and also just keeping Bama on their toes as Vandy tends to do, they're just a very shocker type team in the way that they play their offense. But I'm not gonna just keep that to Vandy because Bama with that Proctor play, it shocked everyone. So how are you feeling, Emma, in terms of how Bama can go in and dominate this game?
Well, you made some good points. I mean, the reason, a big reason why they won last year, not only just being a great team, is because of that time of possession. They kept the offense off of the field. They also executed on third down a lot better. They just out executed across the board, sustained those drives. Like you said, tempo control, and they played mistake free football. Alabama was explosive in a few spots, but it just wasn't enough. But now looking at Alabama this year under Ty Simpson, he is a great pocket passer. They have an incredibly explosive offense. The O line looked fantastic against Georgia's front seven. They are tight. They're very tight. Whereas last year I felt it was more loosey goosey, and anything could happen on any play. And that's not where you want to be. You want to have some sort of system, some sort of rhythm. And I think watching that Georgia game, we really got to see that. Also, they dominated third downs. And so I think if Alabama can flip the script in a way, dominate on third downs, have the time of possession or even an equal time of possession as Vanderbilt, that's really going to be how they win here because I'm not expecting this to be a blowout. As a Bama fan, I'd love it to be a blowout, but I do think Vanderbilt is a fantastic team. They're 5-0 right now in their top 10 in third down defense. So it's going to be a challenge for Bama here. Obviously, Diego gives them a lot of problems. We saw what Tommy Castellanos did in the first game this year. He's very similar to Diego. Can Bama keep Diego contained? Can they stop the run? It's those are the questions we're looking at here, and I think they can do it, but they need to go in. I don't think anyone's overlooking Vanderbilt right now, but they need to go in and execute like they did against Georgia.
100%. And I feel like a lot of the small mistakes that we saw last week with Bama is like their own like self-inflicted wounds, especially like the drop passes. I was like, oh, Bama. I was like, oh, Why Williams? Why again? Why again? So I think this will really come down to Vandy just having the time of possession, um, if Vandy wants to win this time of possession for sure, bringing pressure to Ty Simpson, and also in terms of all that, just really just making Bama kind of like overthink themselves in a way. I feel like what you said too, execution is going to be the biggest thing here. I know I was watching some other videos and looking at some other blogs. It's all about execution, even though Bama has the most talented roster. We saw this last year, where it's like on paper, Bama's supposed to win, but Vandy just out executed them.
Yeah, and that is what they do best is they control the tempo. That is their formula for winning. They lead the nation in slow pace. They rank top 10 in third down success rate. If Diego Pavia and the backs can really move the chains consistently, they will keep Simpson off the field. They'll keep that explosive offense off the field. And Bama cannot afford that because, again, this is a good Vanderbilt team. Now, in terms of Alabama, can their defense stop Vanderbilt's rushing attack, get off the field on third down? This is my number one concern, everyone's number one concern, because last year Vanderbilt dominated with 54 rushing attempts, 166 yards, 12 for 18 on third down. They held that ball for, like you said, over 42 minutes. And Alabama's rush defense is only middle of the pack in 2025. It is not sensational by any means. They really, really have to tighten up here, and that starts with Kane Womack. So those are my big concerns for both of these teams. But I am looking at this and I'm like, this is a home game. Alabama, after that loss, really looks like a different team. They look like they have a chip on their shoulder that kind of like shocked their system in a way. And it's like, we're vulnerable. Like nobody has the crazy benches of 10 years ago where if one player's not working out, you can just throw somebody else in and they're going to be just as good, if not better. That doesn't exist anymore. Yes, you'll have your outliers, but we're looking at your first string needs to play strong each and every day. They can't overlook a team. They can't look at Florida State, who was 2-10 last year, and say, oh, that's easy. Like we're just going to go into this hostile environment and run all over them because we have a scripted A on our helmet. That's not how it works. And with Vanderbilt, with Clark Lee especially, he has just elevated this team to levels that nobody really thought possible, and that is not something to be overlooked. And I doubt they're overlooking it. This is a revenge game, so there's going to be a lot of emotions in it. They really have to control the tempo of this game. They have to get Diego off the field. So they have to run the ball if at all possible. That's still a weak point for Bama. But I am picking them to win here. I do think they will win, especially because they are at home. But I don't think by any crazy margin. I think the most they'd win by is 10, but I could see it being even less.
100%, I'm with you on that. I don't think it's going to be an easy cupcake game, as everyone thinks.
You see
Um,
that on your schedule and you're like, ooh, got it. Not
Yeah, exactly how it was in the past being the SEC every time, like being from Mizzou and like being going to school at Mizzou. Every time we saw Vandy, we're like, oh, okay, we got that. But like this is not the same Vandy team anymore. So having them have to prepare for that. And like you said before, it's a revenge game. They have this chip on their shoulder. And people, even after the Florida State loss, are like, wait, what? This is the Bama team? Is Bama back? And I also felt that spark when I was watching them. They just, like I said before, they just looked more, I don't know, they just look more like a team. So my question to you is, what do you feel like is the biggest thing that Bama has to execute on, especially Ty Simpson?
I mean, Ty Simpson just has to continue doing what he's doing, and that's not make any mistakes. Jalen Milroe made a lot of mistakes last year, turning the ball over. There has been no turnovers this year from Alabama, especially because of Ty Simpson, and I think that is huge. He just has to continue being the game manager. He seems to like refocus everybody, and he doesn't let any negative things like drop balls or loss of yardage shake him. He's like, okay, next play, let's get it done, let's execute. So I think he's a sensational game manager. So if Vanderbilt somehow gets ahead in this game, it's just remaining calm, knowing the weapons that Alabama does have, because if they can't run it down the middle, you can throw it to Bernard on the side and he can run for 4 or 5 yards, and just changing up the gameplay to what we have this year. Because Jam Miller, while he did have some production, maybe he's still not 100%. And as he continues to grow and heal, he will be able to run it down the middle a bit more successfully. But until then, just utilizing the weapons we have, being a little bit more creative, like Caden Proctor. I mean, that was just amazing to watch. So scheming for this team. So that's with Ty Simpson, but the defense is really, really going to have to step up in this game because I know Alabama can score. I know they can strike early through the air, but Vanderbilt is going to slow this game down. They're going to do those long drives, and the defense needs to get them off the field. So that is the biggest concern here with Alabama is getting Vandy off the field, not letting them control the tempo, making Vanderbilt uncomfortable because Diego and the rest of the Vanderbilt team thinks they're going to go to the national championship. They think the ceiling is way up in the stratosphere. And you know what? They might be right. Who knows? We'll see in December, January time. But that is the biggest thing here in this game. Control the tempo, stay clean, and execute.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let us know, who do you think is going to win, Bama or Vandy? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.